Hey guys, Metallicaloid28 back again, here to bring you guys another video. This one is going to be part 8 of my 2014 Mets regular season series. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about a few things with the Mets so far this year as we're going to start the second half of the 2014 season after the All-Star break. And at this moment, the Mets stand at 45-50. They're in third place in the NL East, a half game up on the Marlins, and they're 7 games out from the first place Braves. So the Mets are playing fucking outstanding, okay? They're playing outstanding. The last homestand, they were 8-2, okay? They won 2 out of 3 against Texas, 3 out of 4 against Atlanta, and then they swept the Marlins to finish the first half strong. So really great job. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because that's going to be really crucial to my video, because Sandy Alderson's comments were that if the Mets were to go over 500 on their last homestand, and even possibly play even greater, like to what they did, 8-2, 9-1, 7-3, something along that line, he said that that's going to change their stance at the trading deadline of July 31st. So what he means by that is, instead of being sellers, they're going to be buyers. Now, there's rumors out there that Bartolo Colon might get traded, Daniel Murphy might get traded, but I don't think the Mets should do either one of those deals, and I'm going to explain why. They should not get rid of Bartolo Colon, even though he's 41, and he's going to make $11 million next year. I understand all that. And the Mets have pitching. You know, Syndergaard is eventually going to come up. They have Montero coming up eventually. Matt Harvey's coming back next year. Neese is going to come back from the DL. G already came back from the DL. Obviously Wheeler. So they have DeGrom. They have pitchers out of the ass. I understand that. But the Mets are eventually going to have to trade some of these pitchers to get an impact back, whether that's at shortstop or left field, because those are the only two positions right now that are not locked in. Right now, at the moment, Tejada's at shortstop, and Eric Young Jr. is their starting left fielder, okay? Even if they don't want to admit that, it is. It's not Bobby Abreu, it's not Chris Young, it's not Kirk Neuenhuis, it's fucking Eric Young Jr., okay? Now, here's the problem. Eric Young Jr. is batting 9th in this lineup. Every time he's in the lineup, the pitcher spot is batting 8th, with Eric Young Jr. batting 9th to be kind of like their second leadoff hitter, while Curtis Granderson is leading off. Now, although this lineup has worked, I still don't like it. I don't like the fact that the Mets went out and spent $15 million a year on a guy like Curtis Granderson just so he can lead off. That was not the deal. The deal was for this guy to come in to protect David Wright's bat and bat cleanup, or at least in the middle of the lineup, 5th at the very least. So I think they should push him back there and have Eric Young Jr. lead off, at least for now. Now here's my plan. The trade deadline's coming up, guys. It's in a couple weeks from now. It's going to come up. And there's trade speculation apparently with Starlin Castro, like I mentioned in my last video, that Starlin Castro was heavily rumored to come to the Mets, whether they're going to have to give up for him. There was rumors that Zach Wheeler was going to have to go for him, and I think that's horrendous. I wouldn't even trade Syndergaard for Starlin Castro. I'm sorry. Listen, if I'm trading for a shortstop and I'm gonna trade Noah Syndergaard, then let's fucking talk Troy Tulowitzki, okay? And that's what this entire video is going to be centered upon, is my plan on trading for Troy Tulowitzki. I know I made pretty much in every video I made for this series, I have mentioned Carlos Gonzalez. But at this point, Carlos Gonzalez gets hurt way too much. He actually gets hurt more than Troy Tulowitzki, okay? And Troy Tulowitzki gets hurt quite a bit as well. But this is the best shortstop in the game that we're talking about. He's better than Hanley Ramirez. He's clearly better than J.J. Hardy. He's better than Segura. He's better than Cozart. He is the best shortstop in the game. He's better than Castro, okay? So, the only problem with Troy Tulowitzki, besides his injury history, is his money. This guy is making $16 million this year, and is going to be due to make $20 million per year for the next, 5 to 6 years. So at least the Mets would be getting him for a long-term contract. However, he's going to be making a ton of fucking money. He's going to be possibly the second highest paid guy in this team behind David Wright, okay? And we'll see how long that lasts. You know, obviously when Matt Harvey gets his contract and Murphy gets his contract, and, you know, all these contracts that are going to be coming in. But that's besides the point. Now, are the Mets willing to take that contract? I know the Mets are willing to trade prospects for this guy, but are they willing to take on the contract? That's probably going to be the only thing holding up this deal from happening. Now, is this realistically going to happen before the July 31st deadline? I would say it's a 30% chance of happening, okay? And that's probably even a little high. Is it a chance that's going to happen in the offseason? I would say 65, 70% chance of happening. At least for them, you know, to negotiate a deal. Now, this is the trade package I would send, okay? You can highlight the deal by sending Noah Syndergaard and Dylan G. You send outfield prospect Brandon Nimmo, catching prospect Kevin Plawecki, and you would either send shortstop prospect Ahmed Rosario or Wilmer Flores. That's your trade package to Colorado. Easily, hands fucking down would bring in Troy Tulowitzki, and I would bring in also the reliever Rex Brothers into the fold as well in that deal. I don't see why the Mets can't do that. Okay, now with that being done, you're gonna see the attendance fucking rise in the second half, and revenue is gonna go up like crazy, and then you could possibly see the Mets make a run. So then they're thinking, okay, they also need a power bat at left field. At least for the rest of this year, I would leave it with Eric Young Jr. I don't think they're gonna be able to make a trade unless they try to trade Murphy for an impact bat at left field or something like that. Maybe they can call the Giants and say, okay, we'll trade you Daniel Murphy for Michael Morris. That type of deal that can possibly happen, because then the Giants do have Angel Pagan in center field there in San Francisco. They have Gregor Blanco. You know, they have some outfielders there. So I can see possibly a deal like that happening. But at the same time, do the Mets really want to trade Daniel Murphy to the Giants for 1 year of Michael Morris unless they re-sign him? I don't think so. I think they're better off just waiting for the offseason when Michael Morris is a free agent and sign him to at least a two-year deal, 1 or 2 year deal. So this is going to lead to my next point. Your lineup for the rest of this year at least would be EY Jr. leading off in left field, Murphy batting second at second, Wright batting third at third, Troy Tulowitzki cleaning up at short, Curtis Granderson batting fifth and right, Duda batting sixth at first, Darno batting seventh and catcher, and Lagares batting eighth in center, and then the pitcher spot. Beautiful lineup. Your bullpen adds Rex Brothers, who's another lefty specialist. That would push Dana Evelyn back to AAA, because then you would have Mejia, you would have Familia, you would have Black, you would have, who else? You would have Edgin, you would have Brothers, you would possibly have Herman coming back up, and you would have Daisuke in a long relief role. Okay? Great lineup. As for the rotation, you're going to have to send them Montero at that point to take Dylan G's spot in the rotation, okay? And then you're looking at Bartolo Colon, Zach Wheeler, Jonathan Neese, Jacob deGrom, and Rafael Montero as your rotation. Daisuke, as like I said, is in the bullpen. And there you go. That's your Mets team for the rest of 2014. Their payroll. As for their payroll, let's go to the payroll. Okay, I have this written down in my notes here. With this trade, the Mets payroll at the moment stands at let me see, $86 million. Okay, with the Tulo trade, you're gonna shave off $3 million from Dylan G's contract. Plus, I would estimate another like $2.5 million combined with the other guys that were in the deal. And then you're gonna add on the $60 million from Troy Tulowitzki's contract and the $500K from Rex Brothers' contract for the rest of the year. So you're looking at the Mets payroll bouncing up to $97 million for this year only. Now, 2015 comes along. You have a lot of movement going on. Chris Young's contract is off the books. He's obviously not going to get re-signed. He's off the Mets. Okay. Now, this is where the Mets have their decision to make. They just drafted Michael Conforto as the 10th pick in this year's draft. This guy was a Golden Spikes finalist. He didn't win. As today it was announced that A.J. Reed from Kentucky, who was the Astros pick, he won the Golden Spikes Award. And the Golden Spikes Award is basically the equivalent of the Heisman, but for college baseball. So it's a huge deal. We're talking about guys like Buster Posey, David Price, Bryce Harper, that won this award. So this award tends to bring out the stars of the future for Major League Baseball. And just the fact that Michael Conforto was a finalist is amazing. So that's promise there. Now remember, he was drafted this year. They're saying since he's a college player, he's a junior, he's gonna rise through the ranks extremely quickly. Remember the last time that happened, the last college player the Mets drafted before Michael Conforto was Matt Harvey in 2010. Now remember, what year did Matt Harvey come up? He came up in the second half of 2012. It took him 2.5 years to come up. That's relatively fast for a draftee in baseball. Okay, that's just what it is. So look at Michael Conforto to follow a similar timeline. Since he got drafted in 2013, you can be seeing him in the second half of 2015 at the earliest, and the latest to start the 2016 season with the New York Mets. That's why it's so crucial for the Mets to spend in free agency next year, or to not spend in free agency next year. They have a decision to make for next year. Either they stay with Eric Young Jr. leading off in left field for all of 2015 and wait for Michael Conforto to come up. You know, actually, wait, sorry, I did my math wrong. Sorry, I forgot, it's the year 2014. It was the year 2014, sorry. So Michael Conforto is looking at coming up the second half of 2016, okay, at the earliest, and if not, then the latest to start the 2017 season. Excuse me for that, sorry. So That makes it even clearer. So now, do the Mets go with Eric Young Jr. being their starting left fielder leading off for all of 2015 and most of 2016, or do they sign a bat for at least a 2-year contract? And is there a bat out there that's worth 2 years? And is there a bat that's going to want to sign for 2 years to play left field? Now, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. Okay, I think that the Mets should just forget about Eric Young Jr. leading off. They have Juan Lagares that can clearly lead off. Okay, I feel like they should dabble with that experiment. Have Juan Lagares lead off. He can clearly do it. Okay, he has the speed. He has the bat now. I think he can do it. Is he Carlos Gomez? No, but he can develop into a guy just like Carlos Gomez. It took Carlos Gomez years to develop. Who knows what Juan Lagares can be? You know, put him in the leadoff position. And it's not like he's the primary bat in the lineup. I mean, at that point, you're going to have Tulo, you're going to have Wright, you're going to have Granderson, you have Duda. D'Arnaud is coming around now. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The Juan Lagares leading off is perfectly fine if they go out and sign a bat that is more power-related than leadoff related. However, the Mets could also go out there and get a guy that can lead off at left field. There's a lot of guys that can do that, and I'm going to tell you who they are. There's 3 guys on my mind that the Mets can sign next year. There's Michael Kadire, who's a free agent. There's obviously Michael Morris, and there's actually Melky Cabrera as well. Now, let me look at the numbers. Right now, Michael Kadire is having the worst year out of the 3. He has 5 home runs, 16 RBIs, and a .317 batting average. But that's because he's only played 31 games this year, so he's been hurt pretty much most of the year. Now you got Melky Cabrera. He's had a great year. He has 11 home runs, 45 RBIs, hitting .299, and he's played in 95 games. He's played in pretty much every game this year so far. He's having an outstanding year, and he's also only 30 years old. And then you look at Michael Morris, also having a great year for San Francisco. He has 14 home runs, 46 RBIs, batting .272. He's played in 92 games, pretty much the entire season so far as well. Now, he's, I believe, how old is this guy? He is 32. Okay, Michael Kadire is a lot older than both of these guys. He's 35, so by the time it's next year, he'll be 36. So what do? Out of these 3 guys, the most realistic to take a 2-year deal will be Michael Kadire, because Kadire is a lot older and he understands that, and it's probably going to be his second to last contract of his career. Okay, now the Mets could sign him easily. Okay, to a 2-year. I would say this guy is going to be commanding probably $11 to $12 million per year. So they could sign him to a 2-year 22 or a 2-year 24. No, that's too much. 2-year 22 or 2-year $23 million deal. I can see them signing him, or 2-year 24 at the max. That would be another $12 million hit on their payroll. Now, this is the payroll we're going to talk about now. Their payroll is going to automatically drop next year from 97 to 7 from the $7.25 million that Chris Young was paid. So they're going to start off with $89.75 million for next year. Okay? Now, with the Tulowitzki contract upgrade of $4 million, because it's going to be $20 million now, that means that they're going to go up to $93.75 million to start. Okay, so that's pretty high already for the Mets. Now, if I'm the Mets, you know you have Matt Harvey coming back, you know you have Bobby Parnell coming back, but I still think the Mets should sign a closer. I still don't think Mejia's the closer of the future, and I still don't think Parnell's the closer of the future, especially since he's getting hurt. He gets hurt a lot. So does Mejia. Familia is rumored to be the closer of the future, but I think the Mets should have more assurance at the closer position. You have Houston Street, who's a free agent. You have Casey Janssen. You have Sergio Romo. But I'm leaning more towards Houston Street. This guy has an ERA under 2. He's having an amazing year. So why not sign Houston Street to a 3-year, $27 million contract? He gets $9 million per. And there you go. You got your closer. So I think that's what the Mets should focus on next year. You get your bat in left field, and you get your closer. That's all they need to do. You get your closer for $9 million per year. So let's not get carried away. Let's do the payroll again. Okay, $97 million with Troy Tulowitzki, right? Okay, set for 2014. 2015, you shave off $7.25 million. You drop down to $89.75 million. You sign Houston Street 3 years, $27 million. You add $9 million, so that's $98.75 million. Troy Tulowitzki's $4 million contract upgrade, it goes up to $102.75 million to start the year. But that's with Troy Tulowitzki. That's with Houston Street, and then you sign your bat for left field. Kadire will take a 2-year deal worth worth 22, 23, or $24 million. Let's just put it at the highest $24 million. That's another 12 for the payroll. So then you're looking at the payroll being $114.75 million for next year. That's a lot, but it's something the Mets should really consider doing. Okay. If not, you can try to get Michael Morris for 2 years, but I don't see Michael Morris signing a 2-year deal. I just don't. He's young. He's having a great year. He's going to get a bigger contract than that. He's going to get a 4 to 5 year deal. Same thing for Melky Cabrera. He's probably going to get even a bigger deal, 5 to 6 years. So at the very least, the Mets should go after Michael Kadire. And if they can't go after Kadire, then I would go next and try to get Michael Morris to probably sign a 2-year deal. Why is it so crucial for them to sign a 2-year deal? Because Michael Conforto is going to be ready by the second half of 2016 or in the beginning of 2017. He is clearly the left fielder of the future for the Mets. You're looking at an outfield of Conforto, Lagares, and Granderson, at least towards the end of Granderson's deal. That's what the Mets are looking at. So that's why it's very crucial for them to sign a guy for 2 years. I think this is the best route the Mets can go as long as they're willing to spend the money. Because they're going to be getting rid of the least amount of assets. They're getting rid of Syndergaard and G, I understand that, and Nimmo, and Plowecki, which means Darno's going to have to blossom, and then either Flores or Rosario. But that's what they're going to have to do. The other route they can do, instead of signing an outfielder like that, is to try to trade Murphy for an outfielder. Okay, I don't know who it can be, but it could be another outfielder, and then just not include Flores in that deal for Tulowitzki and instead make it Ahmed Rosario, so that Flores can play second base for the Mets at the time being until Dilson Herrera comes up and he takes over second base. That's another option. But I think that's a little, because then Murphy's contract will be off the books as well, and it'll shed some money and blah, blah, blah. But I'd rather keep Murphy, so I'd rather go with option 1, trading for Tulo, signing an outfielder in the offseason, and waiting for Conforto to come up 2016, 2017, signing a closer like Houston Street, and now you're looking at a potential team for 2015. Let's say they sign Kadire. Lagares leading off as center, Murphy batting second at second, right at third batting third, Tulo cleaning up at shortstop. And then you can go either way here. You can either go Granderson batting fifth in right field, or the outfielder that they signed, whether it be Morse or Kadire or Melky batting fifth, and then the other one, Granderson or the other outfielder batting sixth. Duda batting seventh, Darno last, batting eighth, pitcher spot. How fucking great is that lineup now? Now you're looking at a juggernaut lineup in the NL East. And then the bullpen, if you sign Street, he's your closer. You have Parnell coming back as your 8th inning guy. You have Mejia, could be your 7th inning guy. You have Familia. You have Black. You have Edgin. You have Brothers. Holy shit. And then your long reliever will be Rafael Montero. Okay, it's not going to be Daisuke. Herman's not going to be in the bullpen. So it's going to be Rafael Montero. Because then your rotation, you have Harvey coming back. You have Wheeler. You have Colon. You have Neese. And you have DeGrom. Holy fucking shit, this team is good if they do all these moves. What do you guys think about this? I know I ramble for quite a bit in this video, but it's hitting me right now. Why aren't the Mets doing this? You're looking at the left side of the infield of Tulo and David Wright for years and years to come. I mean, you're talking about possibly the best left side of the infield in all of baseball if they add Troy Tulowitzki to this fucking team. So what do you guys think about this moves? Do you think Sandy Alderson has the balls to make a move like this for Tulo, and then possibly an outfielder bat like Cabrera or Kadire or Morris for next year to sign him to 2 years? Because they're not going to be able to sign a guy like Nelson Cruz, who's also another free agent. After the year he's having this year, this guy's going to get a mega contract, the one that he was looking for this year. The one the Mets were scared to give him because they thought he was going to deserve that contract. He's going to get a 5 to 6 year deal after this season's over, or at least 4 to 5. Melky Cabrera is looking at the same thing, 4 to 5. So I don't think it's realistic the Mets can sign Melky Cabrera. But they could sign a guy like Michael Morris or Michael Kadire. I'm leaning more towards Michael Kadire because of his age. He's 36. He's going to be 36 next year. It's more realistic for him to get 2 years. He's going to be cheaper than Michael Morris because he's probably going to command 2 years 22 or 2 years 23 or 2 years 24, while Morris is looking at the 2 year 26 range. 14 per. So I don't think it's worth it for Morris. And Kadire hits for better average, and he's older. I'm leaning more towards Kadire, and he has more potential. We've seen him hit a lot, more than Morris. So I think the Mets should get Kadire. The Rockies are clearly not going to re-sign him. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think this trade for Tulo is crazy? Do you think them signing Houston Street in the offseason is crazy, and Kadire or Morris waiting for Michael Conforto to come back? To come up through the ranks, because he's going to come up. His projected timetable is 2.5 years, just like Matt Harvey's was. Harvey was drafted in 2010, came up second half of 2012. Conforto drafted this year in 2014. He's going to come up at the end of 2016 or 2017 in the beginning. So what do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts, your comments down below about these trades and these moves to the Mets. Their payroll is going to have to jump. It's inevitable. But if the Mets do trade for Tulowitzki this year. I think it's more crucial to sign him this year. Why? Because it will bring more fans to the stands in the second half of this year, possibly a playoff push, and you don't understand the revenue that the Mets are going to obtain if they get the attendance coming in droves for the second half if they trade for a guy like Tulowitzki. The type of impact that's going to do and bring to the Mets is tremendous. It's going to clearly signal to the fans that they're ready to win this year. And just because Harvey and Parnell are not here, that they're not giving up on this year. But that 2015 is just going to be even better. Look at it this way. 2014 is like the 2005 Mets. They were almost there, but they were missing 1 or 2 bats and 1 or 2 pitchers. That's what the Mets are looking for in 2015. They're going to have those 2 pitchers coming back in Harvey and Parnell. They're missing those 2 bats. Tulo this year and possibly another bat next year. Do it, Mets. Do it, Sandy Alderson. Just do it, because then with all this revenue coming in, your payroll will be able to bounce up to where it should be for a New York club. We're not telling them to spend and be at 150, 160, 170 like they have been in the past. But why not bring it up to 115, 120? I don't understand why they can't do that. So that's it for this video, guys. I'm going to be coming up with another video very shortly, possibly in the next 2 weeks, talking about the trade deadline. I'm looking to maybe make the video before the trading deadline or after the trading deadline, or maybe both. Because I want to know what rumors are going to start heating up closer to the deadline. Clearly, that always happens, like days before the deadline's up. You know, rumors go up like crazy. And I'm also probably going to make a video after the deadline to discuss the deadline moves that actually did happen and did not happen. So that's it. I'm going to call it for here, guys. This is Tulo28. Until next time, you guys have a great day. Let's go, Mets.